I was talking to somebody during the health fair, as a matter of fact, and we were just talking about things in general and talking about actually addiction and the problem of addiction and some of the programs that are out there to help people deal with addiction. And this individual was saying to me, the programs are good, but there's never any reference to God. You know, there's a reference to higher power maybe, but they never, describe that higher power because they don't want to offend anybody. And so the programs for those who are addicted usually help them deal with the addiction so that they aim at what's called sobriety. So that someone who is an addict of whatever can get to the point where they say, hi, my name is Joe, and I'm an alcoholic, but I have been sober for 3 years, or I have been sober for 6 years, or 6 days, or 79 days, The goal is sobriety, and that's a good goal. But in Christianity, the goal is not sobriety. The goal is deliverance. You know what the difference is? You know what the difference is between sobriety and deliverance? Sobriety is always living with the desire to sin but fighting it off. Deliverance is no more desire to sin. Now, I can share with you some stuff, but I really don't want to because I'd be embarrassed. But I will share you one thing that I'm less embarrassed to say in public, okay? So I started smoking when I was smoking cigarettes when I was maybe 10 years old or something like that, 10 or 11 years old. And I smoked until I was 30. So that's a long time, it's almost 20 years that I've smoked cigarettes. And I love to smoke cigarettes. I mean, I love it. It was, you know my story. I've done drugs and everything else. But the hardest thing to let go was cigarettes. I mean, I stopped doing drugs in one day and never went back, but cigarettes, man, I must have tried 10 times to let that go. But when I became a Christian, I became convinced that the use of this type of product, the consumption of tobacco and so on and so forth, this was not a godly thing, this was not a virtuous thing, this was something that I needed to let go, to get rid of in my life, but that wasn't supposed to be part of a Christian's life. I was convinced the Bible taught that, you know what I'm saying? And it gave me the courage to say no. And you know what? You couldn't pay me to smoke today. You couldn't pay me to smoke. You could say, look, I'll give you 2 first-class tickets, and a month in Europe, all expenses paid, best hotel. Sorry. I mean, well, it'd be nice. All you have to do is start smoking again. No. No. Never. I detest it. I hate it. I hate the smell of it, the stink of it. That's deliverance. There's nothing inside of me that corresponds to the desire to go back to doing that. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Deliverance? That's what Christianity offers people. It offers deliverance, not just sobriety. But if you want to get to the deliverance part, you have to be prepared to suffer. But if you're willing to go through the suffering, I repeat, those who exercise self-control have the joy of knowing and experiencing the peace and satisfaction that comes when their lives are more perfectly aligned with God's will. In other words, when they are delivered.